What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Star Wars Black Series, The Phantom Menace, Jar Jar Binks. And you know that Hasbro's got us by the balls if they got us all out there hunting a Jar Jar Binks figure. I never thought I'd see the day where I was like, oh yeah, I want that Jar Jar figure. It just wasn't in the cards, but somehow here we are. And I gotta say, this thing looks awesome. When I first saw it was revealed, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. And then now that I see it in person, I'm kind of blown away because they did a really good job. And I mean, the way this figure looks actually made me think like, maybe like I'm misremembering this character. So I tried to go back and watch some clips on YouTube of Jar Jar Binks, and that was kind of a mistake. It almost made me want to take the figure back, but it looks so good I had to hold on to it and take a look. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with the awesome new style of Black Series packaging. You are able to see the figure through here. You can see the accessories that he comes with. Up here it says Star Wars Black Series. Down here it says Star Wars The Phantom Menace, Jar Jar Binks. On the side of the box we get some really cool looking artwork. And look at that. Right there he looks like he's kind of a badass. But then just imagine him talking and you're like, oh yeah. And then on the back of the box, we get that same artwork that looks really nice. Over here, it does say Jar Jar Binks and has a very small biography about the character. And that's about it for the packaging. It does look really nice in the box. It is collector friendly and all that good stuff. But enough about the box. Let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. And so right out of the box, this figure is very impressive. He's got a lot of good articulation. He's got a bunch of cool accessories. But the thing that makes this thing amazing is the amount of detail that they put into the sculpt. The face looks awesome. The pattern on the skin looks good. The texture of the skin looks good. This thing just looks really, really nice. And that's crazy because he's such a goofy looking character, but this figure actually makes the design look cooler than it did ever before. I see this and I think like, man, this guy is a badass. You know, like I don't see this weird, goofy, flopping around kind of dumbass character. I just see like this really cool looking creature from Star Wars. So that's a huge accomplishment. You know, and I'll be honest, I'm not like a big Jar Jar hater or anything like that. I just know that he's not like one of the greatest Star Wars characters. He's one that a lot of people are aware of, but most people don't have nice things to say about Jar Jar. For me personally, I just never really liked the way that he talked, and I didn't like the way that he looked on screen as far as like the CGI goes. I know that that was like in the early days of CGI and all that, so I get it, but I just never liked the way it looked. It never like meshed well. But this figure right here gives it an actual lifelike look, and it makes me think like, damn, if they would have just used animatronics for Jar Jar Binks, and, you know, had like Keith David voice him and made him like a badass, he could have been a cool character. Like the design is there is what I'm saying. Like he doesn't look as goofy as I remember him when I'm looking at this figure. So, you know, that's kind of big. But anyways, I think he looks awesome. Really like the way this looks. I think they did a good job with the sculpt here. I love the texture of the skin and how it looks realistic. And I really like the colors too, how it fades from that dark orange to the lighter beige color around the mouth and on the neck. I think it looks awesome. And then check out the eyes. Look at the detail on the eyes. They did some amazing work there, man. But yeah, look at this thing. It's such a good looking figure. And then checking out these things on the back of his head. I'm not even sure if they're ears or if it's hair or what the hell it is. But it looks really good. And I like all the different colors that we have in there. And then we kind of have like spikes right there. Kind of look like wings, huh? But yeah, they look nice. And he does have one small paint imperfection on the top of his eye. As you can see, there's a little bit of paint scraped off right there. And check out the sculpting work here on the neck. That all looks good. The joints are well hidden. Moving down into the arms, because I was impressed by the detail on the arms too. Look at the pattern that they have going on. Looks good. And then we have this vest that is removable. If you'd like to take it off, it's a soft plastic. But under the vest, we see a little bit more skin, and then his shirt. And then he does have this thing around his waist, which is a loose piece as well. But, you know, you can't really take it off unless you pop the figure apart or something. Man, I really like the detail on these arms. We've got his hands with his fingernails. They kind of match the spike things on his ear flaps, whatever they're called. Moving down into the legs, not a whole lot going on in the legs. They're just, you know, black. But they look good. And then we have the feet. And these feet are really nice. And they're very secure, you know. It's very easy to get them to stand up even on one foot. But yeah, these look really good. But man, yeah, just everything about the way this figure looks is very impressive to me. So they did a good job with all that stuff. And Jar Jar does come with some pretty cool accessories, starting off with his little ball and cup thing here. Obviously this is some kind of scepter. I'm not really sure what the deal is with this, but I think it looks really cool. I like the translucent ball that we have at the top, and then the handle has some metal type of detail going on, but it does look good, and we have some nice sculpting work. And then he also comes with a spear, and the spear is cool, but there's not a whole lot to it. It is a gold color, but it doesn't have like a shiny gold look to it or anything, but I still think it looks okay. And it does have a little bit of brown on the handles. And he could also hold on to this with no problem at all, as you could see. And the final accessory is this shield. And I think this looks good. We've got some like clear plastic going on here that has like a hint of purple to it. I think that has a cool look. But it's kind of hard to get him to hold it naturally because, I don't know, I kind of wish that he had the vertical hinge on one of his hands, and that would have given a little bit more options for this thing, but it's kind of hard to position it in a way that looks natural. I mean, it does look kind of cool no matter what. Just him holding it looks pretty awesome, but it would have been nice. I think a vertical hinged hand would have given us some more options here. Maybe if he just holds it right in front of him, it kind of works out. Or like that. But yeah, I mean, it does look really cool, and there is a way you can get him to hold it and look nice, but to get him into like action poses with it, you know, it's a bit of a task, but it's definitely possible. I wonder if you like maybe flip his hand around, maybe I'll have a little bit more luck. No, not necessarily. I mean, you could do some cool stuff with it. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. But yeah, like I said, I think a vertical hand would have helped this situation out a little bit more. And then let's go ahead and get into some size comparisons. And if anybody wants to know what any of the figures are in the size comparison segment, I will leave a list of all the figures shown in the description below. And Jar Jar is actually pretty poseable and has a really good amount of articulation. There are a couple of things that I feel are missing, but nothing that are deal breakers. Just little things here and there that I wish they had included that they didn't. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off at the head. So he does have movement where the head meets the upper neck. So using that, you could get his head to go side to side. And then it also has a good amount of tilt to it, as you could see. And then just at that point, you could look up to about right there. And then he could look down to right there. But then he has movement at the lower neck. We've got a ball joint there. So using both of those, you can get some really good stuff going. You could get him to look way up. Look at that. But then his, whatever these are, his ears, I guess, hair, whatever it is, it kind of gets in the way. But look at that. And then you could get him to look down to right there. And there's just a lot of good movement here at the head and the neck area. So that's good stuff there. And then at the torso, we do have a diaphragm cut, so that can move side to side. And then it could twist. It can't really crunch forward too much. I might end up popping them apart and trying to modify that a little bit. We'll see. As it is, he only bends forward to about right there. And then it could bend back to right there. But I do like the diaphragm cut. And then for the arms, that's where I was a little disappointed because I wish that he had the butterfly joints, but he doesn't. So as it is right now, his arms just go all the way around. They can come out to the side a pretty good amount. Look at that. And then at the arms, I mean at the elbows, we have single jointed elbows, but they get a pretty decent bend. There we go, a little bit more than 90. So that'll work. And then he does have a swivel at the elbow. At the hands, we have a swivel and a hinge. At the legs, damn, they could come out to the side a really good amount, but then his, what the hell is this? Like a skirt, I guess? His skirt kind of gets in the way. And then his leg could kick forward to about right there. So you could get him into those slipping and falling poses, I guess. And then you could bring his leg back to about right there. And then he does have the upper thigh swivel. He's got double jointed knees. Bam! There we go. Pretty good. And then at the foot, that's another thing I wish he had was a swivel, because he doesn't have any kind of swivel at the foot, which sucks because his ankle goes right into his pants and it looks like it would have been a perfect spot to put a swivel, but nope, nothing there. But his feet do come out to about right there. They come up to right there, and then he does have rocking ankles. So yeah, pretty good amount of articulation on Mr. Binks here. I just wish that he had the butterfly joints and some type of swivel at the ankle. But aside from that, I think he has everything that he needs. So when it's all said and done, this is a surprisingly great figure, and Hasbro did a good job with pretty much everything. I like the accessories that he comes with. Even though I'm not 100% familiar with these things, I do think they look good, and he's able to hold them, and the figure looks nice while he's holding them. It would have been cool if he would have came with some extra hands, but that's not really a problem with Jar Jar specifically. It's a problem with the line in general. I feel like if Black Series figures started to come with extra hands, it would really take them to a next level, because as it is right now, when they're not holding their weapons, they have the awkward gripping hands, and that just really drives me crazy because it makes the overall figure look a little cheap and limited. So it would be great if they started to include extra hands, and I think it would be a huge benefit for the line. But as for Jar Jar, it would have been great to have that, but as it is, I do like the accessories that he comes with. And as far as articulation goes, there are some limitations, but I think for the most part, you are able to get Jar Jar into any kind of pose that you would want Jar Jar to get into. But I do wish that he had the butterfly joints. Aside from that, I'm pretty happy with everything we have going on here, and I would say that overall, the articulation is a success, even though it's a little bit limited. But the main attraction here is definitely the sculpt. They did such a good job with the way this figure looks, and it's crazy because the way he looks in the movie is so weird and bizarre and smooth and just doesn't make sense, but they took it and made it look kind of lifelike, and they just made the design look better than it ever has before, in my opinion. I think this figure looks really, really cool, and it makes me wish that there was like a movie that had Jar Jar Binks where he was made out of animatronics and not CGI. I would be really interested in seeing that, and this figure is the reason why, because it has a real, like, lifelike, tangible kind of quality to it, and it just looks really good, and it makes me kind of like the design of Jar Jar, and that's something that I never thought I would say. And I'm a big fan of weird Star Wars creatures like Plo-Koon and Kit Fisto and Yoda and all those guys, and I think that Jar Jar is going to look really cool next to them on the shelf, and I think it's going to make for a really interesting display to have those kind of guys hanging out with the more human looking characters, you know. But I really like the way this guy looks, and I never thought I'd say that about a Jar Jar Binks figure. So, you know, hats off to Hasbro for doing that. And with that, I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.